Peace, blessings, salutations. Urema Karama here. Real life, real talk. These are the days of our lives. So I had a meeting last night, and I wanted to share this because I think it's important, and I think it's important for uh, our communities, specifically communities in the urban areas, our poor communities, our underfunded communities, our underfunded school systems. So here's the scenario. I want you to shut your eyes and envision this. Your child is going into a school. The building is made of brick and cement. As the child enters this school, there are, in certain instances, metal detectors, because we know of some of the occurrences that have happened in certain urban school areas over the years. So as your child enters the doors of this school, they might have to actually go through some metal detectors. Um, Pretty much the walls on the school are barren. There's really no type of color. The walls are white. They're barren. Uh, the lunchroom is, it's not colorful. It's barren as well. It's just a cafeteria where you go to have lunch. There's even kind of a smell to it just because of use and people and food over the years. There's kind of a smell to it. The classroom, some of the classrooms have no windows. They're barren, so the only light that you see in the class is light from the light panel. Um, some of these classes have no windows; you can't see out, and um, it's the same thing as you go into the restroom areas. Just kind of barren. But there are many classrooms in this particular school. Now you got that in your head. Let's say, and this is a high school. So let's back up. Let's say that in second and third grade, this child was your child was kind of in the same kind of that same, except it was just lower grade level, but kind of the same kind of setting, kind of cold, kind of no real color. Because remember, these places are underfunded, so they don't have a lot of funds. And let's say that your child has gone through testing and has problem in certain skills, reading being one of them. But these tests are mandatory because the state wants to know what these tests are. But you're put under the impression that these tests are so that if there are any deficiencies, any academic deficiencies with your child, that these tests are done so that your child can get help. But because the schools are underfunded, your child gets no help. So your child goes and is now in the high school system and has a reading problem, a reading deficiency. And a reading deficiency that maybe was never addressed, maybe some other academic deficiencies that were never addressed. So your child is in this high school setting. Let's say the principal's black. Let's say the secretary in the office is black. Let's even say the assistant principal is black. Let's say that the majority of the teachers or instructors are white. And let's say that they're because everybody who's an educator is not necessarily an educator. So let's say that not only are the majority of the instructors white, but their teaching style is more of a uh, sit down, be quiet. Why are you keep moving around? No, you can't go to the bathroom. You need to stay in your seat. And here's the lesson. But because this classroom is so full And because there's really only one teacher, maybe a substitute every now and then comes in to help. But because there are so many students in this one class, there can really be no real assistance given. And so there's always going to be those children that are they get missed. And these children probably need the most help, but they don't get it because they get shied over because it just becomes too much for the teacher. So let's call this what it is. Let's call this the school to prison pipeline. Let's say that test that your child took back in second or third grade for the reading deficiency, and they found out that there was a real deficiency. Let's say that they actually, when the state got it, that they passed that information on to a corporate entity, and maybe there were some metrics done. Maybe there were some statistical analysis done saying that, okay, because this person can't read or because this person has a deficiency in writing, the likelihood of them going to prison in their adulthood, even juvenile facilities in their adulthood, rises exponentially. Let's say that it rises to the point where we're pretty confident there's an 80% chance that this child, when they get into their late teens, will commit crime or be involved in some type of degenerate behavior that's going to put them right aligned with the prison industrial complex. And let's say that instead of affording help to prevent this, let's say that they can just continue the process with under the auspices of there's really no funding for public schools in inner cities. We just don't have it. It's just not in the budget. As a matter of fact, we're closing schools down and trying to pack a few more students from the schools that we're closing down. We're trying to pack them into the schools that are left available. In 1991, I had a college instructor. He was a psych instructor, and this is what he said. We were passing each other in the hallway, and he and I used to go at it in class because I was very engaging. He was very engaging. White guy, and I really liked this instructor. But this is what he said to me. And as we're talking about the school to prison pipeline, I painted that picture for you because I think that there's an intentional plot. Intentional design is probably a better word. An intentional design for our urban youth. And so this is what this gentleman, as we passed, this is what he stopped and he told me. He said, Urema, right now in your major colleges and universities around the country, in your Stanfords, in your Harvards, in your UCLAs, and in your Yales, in all your major colleges and universities right now, there are a dozen or so young white men and women in a library on their lunch break, and they're sitting down all at a table, and they all have calculators out, and they have pieces of paper, and they're writing down, and they're doing statistical analysis, and they're deciding how many Oprahs are going to make it out of the hood. They're deciding how many Colin Powells are going to make it out. They're deciding how many sports figures are going to make it out. They're deciding how many people in urban areas are going to go to the prison industrial complex. They're doing statistical analysis on this. They're deciding how many Bill Cosbys there are going to be. And he looked at me and he said, your job is to combat that. I think the school to prison pipeline, that's real. I think we need to look at that. I put this post as making as a pipeline that has the potential to make billions, literally. Why? And if you're planning for people to go to prison, we understand the dynamics of slavery in this country. There is money. There's obviously money to be made at this. So as parents of children out there, what are you going to do to combat it? My name's Yurima Karama. I just wanted to put that out there. Because these are the days of our lives. Connect with me. Peace. I'm out.